Now, before we get to the protest, let's set a little bit of foundation. Let's talk about the state of where Biden is. Then we'll get to the importance of the State of the Union protest, and some of the things he said and how ridiculous it was. Let's get to this, though, from Anderson Cooper. Uh-oh.
So I think the president's point is an important one.
Senator, thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Jake, back to you.
Thanks, Dana. Let's get more now on those protests against President Biden, specifically against his handling of the Israel-Hamas war and his support for Prime Minister Netanyahu. CNN's Gabe Cohen is right now at a demonstration near the Capitol. Gabe, tell us what's going on.
So, Jake, what you're seeing behind me are dozens of ceasefire protesters standing just a block or two away from the Capitol. They have shut down Pennsylvania Avenue, this major road, what they believe could be the motorcade route for President Biden as he makes his way from the White House to the Capitol for the State of the Union speech. Now, of course, they know it is unlikely that they would actually stop the motorcade. They considered this more of a symbolic protest. They wanted to block this road to, again, keep up that pressure campaign against the president. As those uncommitted votes are happening across the country, they felt like this was the biggest platform where they could make a statement to the president, actually block his route to come and speak in front of Congress. But as we turn the camera around, you can see what's waiting for them here, Jake. There is a huge police presence, a line of officers. We haven't seen any arrests yet, but it looks like they are getting ready to start taking people into custody. It would likely be a misdemeanor charge. But look, Jake, these are people who have said they are ready to be arrested. They are here to make a statement. Some of them have been arrested several times throughout these protests that we've seen here in D.C. and around the country.
All right, Gabe, thanks so much. We're going to keep tabs on these protests as they continue. Let's go now to John King, however, right now at the Magic Wall. And John, tell us what hurdles President Biden faces with voters who might be tuning in to watch him tonight.
It's a very long list, Jake. The president delivers this speech at a historic low. If you look at it, number one, this is the map from 2020. The president, 244 days from now, wants to recreate this map. He wants to win a second term. Let's walk through, as you mentioned, though, some of the obstacles. Here's one of them right here, the president's approval rating, personal approval rating. Often the North Star, you judge an incumbent president seeking re-election. What's the approval rating? He's below 40 right now. That's near his all-time low at 38%. When he gave that first address to Congress, not technically a State of the Union, right after the inauguration, he was at 57. So he is nearly 20 points down from when he began his term. Terrible. And it's a huge problem for the president. So let's put that into historical context for you. Forgive me for turning my back. I just want to stretch this out. Look at these recent past presidents, where they were at this point, heading into the re-election year. Ronald Reagan was at 55%. He won. George W. Bush at 51%. He won. George H.W. Bush at 43%. He was a one-term president. He was at 43%.
43%.
Joe Biden's at 38%. Barack Obama was at 45% and he won. Clinton at 56% and he won. Donald Trump, 10 points higher than Joe Biden is right now, and he lost. So you look at that 38%.
What does that mean? Like, the low point has always been Jimmy Carter. We have a new record holder. Now the low point is Joe Biden. And it's very suspicious to me, not suspicious, but it's very curious to me. And I was talking to my wife about this. How with these numbers, the way they are, the way they talk about Joe Biden on Morning Joe and all these shows is as if he's winning. It is so bizarre, but they don't cover the polls ever. Or they cover it jokingly, like laughing and stuff like that. The point being, Joe Biden's at 38%. Donald Trump lost, and he had 10 points higher than what Joe Biden is right now. And George H.W. was at 43%. Bill Clinton was at 53%. And Ronald Reagan was at 55%. So right now, it's not looking good for Joe Biden. But let me rewind 15 seconds and play.
And he won. George H.W. Bush at 43%. He was a one-term president. He was at 43%. Joe Biden's at 38%. Barack Obama was at 45% and he won. Clinton at 56% and he won. Donald Trump, 10 points higher than Joe Biden is right now, and he lost. So you look at that 38%. Most political pros tell you you at least need to get close to Obama. Get into the mid-40s and you have a chance to win. At 38%, it's incredibly bleak, and that's where the president is at the moment. Why? Because people simply do not believe they have been helped by the Biden agenda. Look at this stunning number in the New York Times Siena College poll from the weekend. Fewer than 20%, 18% of the American people, registered voters, think Joe Biden's policies have helped them personally.
That's 2
That
out of
has to be a
10.
gut punch to the president. 43% think it hurt them. That's a huge challenge tonight. Try to convince the American people what he's doing has actually helped them. Again, the economy. There are a lot of great statistics when it comes to the economy. Joe Biden will say tonight he's a record job creator. That's a fact. He will say that the stock market's doing pretty well. That's a fact. But this is what people feel. Cost of living. Food and goods. Are you very concerned about the cost of food and consumer goods? A year ago, 75% said yes. It's down a bit, Jake, but only to 72% now. Housing. This is hurting the president. A year ago, 60% said they were very concerned about the cost of housing. That's up a bit to 64%. If there's one,
This is it. This is why the polls say what they say about the economy, even though the typical markers that indicate, or we've been told by capitalists indicate a good economy, are here. Just today it came out that he added a good amount of jobs. What I'm loving about this dynamic, about this time, about this in particular, is that the disconnect, what they call a disconnect, this is showing, it is illustrating, it's putting a spotlight on the markers that determine a good economy have nothing to do with the economy. Has nothing to do with workers' opinion of the economy. Stock market, that is a gauge of rich people. Even GDP, even the unemployment rate is something for owners also, because owners want to know about their employment rate. So all of these markers have nothing to do with the actual spender of money, the worker. And that's what's being shined a spotlight, that these typical markers don't mean anything. Why isn't a marker to determine the economy the buying power of the average worker? Meaning, how far does a dollar go for the average worker? That should be a marker. But let's continue with what he's saying. Oops, did I click it?
there's one silver lining. Look at the drop in concerns, very concerned about the cost of gas and energy. That is down a bit from a year ago. One bright spot, but here, these cost of living concerns still are hurting
to go from 6 and 10 to 5 and 10.
Another issue that is just crushing him is this, the immigration issue. Again, these numbers are stunning when you look at them. How's the government doing with migrants at the southern border? 18% of Americans.
Looking at these numbers explain why the Democratic Party have decided to go full Trump at the border. And even in his speech, and we'll cover a little bit of that when we get to the part of how he calls out undocumented people, illegal aliens, taking the language of conservatives. But let's continue.
Of Americans say a good job. 80% say a bad job. And this is where it's hard for the president. 73% of Democrats say he's doing a bad job. Even his own party doubts about his leadership. 89% of Republicans say that. So, Jake, if you look at this map, and if the president wants to have any hope of recreating this map, this number here and this line has to start going up. And that journey has to start tonight.
It's a big challenge. John King, thanks so much. We're
And
going to
you
get our
guys,
very first look inside the House
and
chamber.
you guys have begun the mass propaganda campaign about that speech and what he's going to be delivering. Oh, this is great. Look at he's back now. That's what it's completely unbearable to watch corporate media right now. From morning, every single show, the entire show was about the State of the Union and what he's and the good things that he was saying. Unwatchable. Oh, we can move on now to the next part of this presentation, which is the same thing, protests, but we're now going to go on the ground. So they briefly talked about the protests in that segment there, but now we go to on the ground coverage. People like Chuck Modi was on the ground taking video, and I got a bunch of his videos here to show about the protest. This is the DC protest that forced. Now, if you watched the State of the Union last night, it started late. Joe Biden got there late. He got there late because they blocked, meaning this protest blocked the normal route. So the president had to take a different route that made him late, I should say, to getting to Congress. So let's watch a couple of clips that Chuck put out and comment.
We're out here today because we will not allow Joe Biden to whitewash his legacy, and we need everyone in the United States and the world to know that Joe Biden's legacy is genocide, it is war, it is militarism, and we will not be silent. We do not stand with Joe Biden. We will not vote for Joe Biden if he continues to fund and arm genocide.
What is your response to the people who say he's trying to send humanitarian aid? What is your response?
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. How can you send humanitarian aid and weapons at the same time? He's just trying to win the favor of liberal American people in order to get reelected. He has all the power in the world to end the genocide, and he won't because he doesn't want to, because Israel is an American imperialist outpost, and his interest is in imperialism and in wealth and in empire, and his interest is not in people, his interest is not in humanity, and if it were, then he would have called for a permanent ceasefire and an end to the Israeli occupation 152 days ago, years ago.
Spot on by this young lady at the protest. I think that's going to play once it's going to play again once I go up here. Let me turn the sound off. How about I just do this and pause it? So it doesn't. All right, there we go. Let's go to this next one. All right, that's just a quote from her. That's not Chuck, so I don't need to read it. That's a quote because we heard it in the video. Let's go to this next one. They shut down Pennsylvania Avenue outside of Capitol with giant Palestinian flag. Let's play this video of the protests. All right, let's pause it there. You saw that one, that large flag, the chanting. This is earlier in the night because it's a lot more packed. It gets a lot more packed. But let's go now to this one. Okay, same thing. Shut down protesters on Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's listen. Is this the same one? No.
1, 2. Genocide! When I say genocide, you say Joe! Genocide! Genocide! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine. Genocide, Joe. That's what they're chanting. Now let's go. Oops. Did I pause it? Yeah. Now let's go to the next one. Now this one is from Suleiman Ahmed. I think, yeah, Sabby had him on her show. He tweets a lot of stuff. It's a big account. He tweets a lot of good stuff. And let's watch this. Now look at the amount of people this protest. And I think in one of the Jake Tapper news clip that we went to, was that Jake Tapper? Yeah, that was Jake Tapper news clip. Yeah, that we went to. I think the person that was reporting from the protest said there was a couple of dozen people there. Does that look like a couple of dozen people on your screen? Let's watch.
No more money for Israel's crime! No more money for Israel's crime! Genocide! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
I like to hear the chants. That's why I'm not commenting over it. I do like to hear the chants.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Could you imagine being a cop right now? You be a cop there, you're preventing the people who want to stop the killing. How do you not see that as a police officer down there? The people are saying stop killing people, and you are there to hold those people back.